see. Yep. Okay. So we're still in the top three on CoinMarketCap. We've posted a 623% gain in the past 24 hours. And then, we have KuCoin ads up. We're also on all the voting websites, all the typical kind of stuff that you guys have been begging me to do while we were dipping. And I told you it was just a waste of money, and it would have been. But on a day like today, it's not a waste of money, which is why I've actioned it. So if you go to um, Coin Mooner, if you go to Early Coin, CoinScope, all of these, we're on all of them. So we're in the promoted sections, and we have banners running. We were on Crypto Moonshots this morning. We were trending at #1 for quite some time. And then really, I mean, CMC is the real, the longer we can stay on CMC, the better, because it brings in volume. So yeah, really good move. So, okay, what comes next? So some of you guys have already, one second. Some of you guys have already pre-ordered, or you were part of the whitelist for the DTF. If you were on the whitelist, then you've done pretty well, because right now the DTF is valued at about $17. So you've posted about a 70% gain. What I'm going to do after I get off this call, and so we're doing something that hasn't really been done before with this swap. So the order book based swap, but also managing a diversified asset on it. So we haven't quite gotten like the automated processes in place yet. So a lot of it is kind of manual, but I'm going to be airdropping your guys' tokens, and I've kept pretty meticulous records. So if you were part of the initial whitelist, then you will receive the number of tokens that you ordered at the rate of $10 per token flat. Okay. And then, like I said, those tokens are now trading at about $17, and you guys can actually go onto our swamp right now, and you can look and you can see the graphs. Pretty well done. We spent a lot of time on them. You can check them from different currency pairs, which is why I had to, add more liquidity, because we have ADA pair, BUSD pair, and then we have BNB pair, of course. And you guys can trade with all three of those to put in your orders and sell orders and buy orders. Obviously, this is all pegged to BNB because we're on BSC, right? But yeah, so you guys can go in there and you can see the actual market price. And what I kind of wanted to go over with you guys, because I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with order book based swaps. If you guys have been trading on X markets over the past month or so, um, ADAX and some of these plays on Cardano were pretty popular. You guys may not have realized it, but that's an order book based swap, right? Which is basically you can put in orders, and you can buy and sell from the order book. So that's what you're going to see. So for the DTF, we put up our own capital to mint some of the supply, and then you guys also pre-ordered, your own tokens. And what we did, and so I've been buying the underlying assets for quite some time, because I can see where the market's heading in terms of this winter, or Q4 at least. So when everyone was flooding Bitcoin hardcore at 30K, I was buying. Same thing with Polkadot and Cardano and all of them, really. Doge has been really kind of the lackluster performer, but you just never know what that's going to do. So it's good to have it in there, regardless. So basically, once I airdrop those tokens, you guys can put in your buy orders and sell orders. Now, in order for your order to get filled, someone else has to put in an order, right? So, for example, if I pre-ordered 10 DTF tokens, and let's say, for example, maybe I want to take some profits off the table, and I put 5 up on the order book for sale, then someone's going to have to go in there and buy from my sell order, if that makes sense. And then so that's kind of how it trades. And then what I'm going to be doing is, over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be adding more to that supply, using a portion of the taxes that are collected for each transaction. And by the way, the taxes are going to revert back to what they should be according to the white paper. So you guys can get that full breakdown on page 7, I believe. And yeah, so that'll be used to add to that supply, because right now, obviously, the supply is pretty low. But that is Don't be fooled, because that is, remember, and I think a lot of you guys are applying like shitcoin type, parameters to this asset. It's different. Okay, you guys really got to understand the difference of what you're buying. You're not buying a shitcoin with a DTF. Okay, you're just not. Yes, I guess you could say 10% of it is shitcoin, which we don't want to call our native token a shitcoin, but um, for all intents and purposes, 10% of it is a very volatile asset, which, as you guys have seen, we've had some pretty wild swings. Um, but what you are buying are, real underlying assets. Okay. So, don't be fooled like, oh, what's the supply? What's the burn? What's the taxes? Like all that shitcoin kind of parameters do not apply here. Okay. So really try to get that out of your minds. And it's going to be a process. I mean, I know that's how everyone's been trained to think, but what you're buying are real assets. Okay. So the supply doesn't matter, because again, they're backed by real assets. Unless we assume that somehow we're going to buy up all the supply of Cardano, like it's not, it doesn't make any sense. So supply doesn't really matter. We can mint more. It's not going to dilute the value. We can't dilute, or we can't mint more native token, which that would matter, but we can't do that, right? So, that's kind of so. Anyways, we can add to that supply for the DTF, and we're going to add to it once we hit that equilibrium between supply and demand. This morning, and I posted it a couple, like an hour ago or so, because I was getting a lot of inquiries from folks who missed out on the initial kind of whitelist that we held, which was going for 2 weeks. I mean, there's plenty of time. I don't know where everyone was at, but everyone only comes around when they see green candles. So, but anyways, for the folks who missed the initial whitelist, I have received orders of more DTF. So when I get off this call, what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap them at the market price. Okay, and then what I'll do is when I airdrop them to you, I will send you the price, the exchange rate, and then the number of tokens accordingly. Okay, so how that's going to work. And then as we add to the supply, more people will be able to buy. I'll also say that I have some pretty big orders in my email that I haven't even gotten to yet, and it's a bit of a challenge because so the folks who are reading the Bloomberg article and stuff, those guys don't even know what PancakeSwap is, and they don't even know what MetaMask is and everything. They just see cryptocurrency ETF. How do I buy? So I mean, I have one guy in there, for example, who wants to buy like 100K, but I'm trying to like explain to him. So, anyways, it's going to be a process, and I would like to get some of these orders filled as well. But if those some of them want to invest, because they're not thinking in terms of like BSC kind of peanuts, they're thinking in terms of like Wall Street money, and even 100K is really nothing to these guys. But I've got a few, and then I'm also talking, and I've been talking to a family office in Jersey, basically guys with real capital. But the thing is with them is there's barriers to entry, as you guys all know. When you first started trading on PancakeSwap and BSC, they're just there is a learning curve there, and these guys are not used to that kind of stuff. So anyways, I'm gonna have to talk to them um, and try to secure those investors one by one. But I have plenty of interest. So ultimately, how many am I going to secure? I mean, to be seen. But I mean, if you figure, if I can secure like 100K investment, then 10% of that's going to go to the native token. That's a buyback, right? So that's how these two feed off of each other. And regardless, even if the native token underperforms, if 90% of the fund is buoyed by those real digital assets, right? And I do think, as I mentioned in my opening comments, we are headed up for at least the next 45 days or so. Once we get closer to Christmas, it may be time to start de-risking and changing the underlying asset structure to more stable coin. I do think that'll probably be a prudent move, because we're going to have, I mean, we have now, but the market's going to largely shrug off a lot of the headwinds that we're facing going into 2022 for the next 45 days at least. This is very typical, going into Thanksgiving and Christmas. Everyone's crazy, hyper bullish, buying stocks, buying crypto, buying everything left and right. And then just like magic, after New Year's, it's like, oh man, I'm really fat and happy from all my profits over Christmas, and now I'm going to start selling. And then magically in February, the Fed starts flooding and China starts flooding, and everything just falls apart. This is what happens all the time. And I do think next year is going to be a rough year. So anyways, as we head into 2022, we will start de-risking. But for the next 45 days or so, very confident that Bitcoin's going to break its all-time high. Very confident that Polkadot's going to break its all-time high. Cardano, I think, probably had a pretty good run. I do think it'll drift upwards, but it did have a pretty good catalyst. But it all really just depends how stupid Bitcoin gets. And if you guys were around in 2017, 2018, then it can get pretty stupid in a good way, right? Because another thing people still aren't talking about because they're so infatuated with ETF, is the Taproot upgrade, which will be coming here shortly on November 11th, actually. Perfectly timed for the first Polkadot parachain auctions, I may add. So again, lots of catalysts coming for Q4, and that's our outlook. So yeah, I mean, you're going to see the price of the DTF fluctuate because it's based on the price of those underlying assets. Obviously, the native token is going to be the most volatile, but at the end of the day, 90% of it is backed by much more stable assets. Even Dogecoin has been very stable in the 23, 24 cent price range. And yeah, I think any kind of underperformance that caused by the volatility in native token will be offset by those other assets. So okay, that's kind of what we're heading into. So at this time, I'd like to take some questions from the community.
Hey, what's up, Jay?
Yeah, what's up, dude?
Not much, man. I've been itching to ask questions, and you're very
Okay,
eloquent.
all
And
right.
when I first met you, it's one of the things I like that you're very detailed. You're very sure when you speak, and I like that a lot. So I'm one of the private investors, one of the ones that have the lock token. So it's been a little bit of a wild ride. Like kind of like damn, I thought it might perform a little bit better sooner, but I have long term vision. It's not the typical BSC shitcoin. Stuff like that. Um, but the DTF, I get very very busy and I get into a lot of projects. So unfortunately, I didn't even know that it was releasing. Didn't get on the whitelist. So I guess when is the period for us to be able to buy if we weren't on whitelist? When is that going to happen?
Yeah, I mean, dude, if you hit me up in the DMs, you can buy like now.
Okay.
So so the whitelist price, the $10 per token thing has come and gone. That train has left the station. But I'm wrapping. Well, I am wrapping, and I will continue to wrap a second batch because a lot of folks, because the past 3 weeks, everyone counted us out for dead, and they were like, oh, it's a dead project, and people were flooding their bags and everything. I mean, the private resellers have stuck around because you guys still have locked up tokens and a vested interest, but a lot of the Moon Boys have left. So, I'm not surprised a lot of people weren't tracking the launch. Yeah, so I mean, basically, again, the way it's going to work, and this is not like typical kind of, it's just not the way like shitcoins typically work because it's a different type of asset. That's the other reason why the DTF can't be traded on Pancake Swap because Pancake Swap is an automatic market maker. It uses a different protocol which just cannot support a wrapped asset like this because you have 7 assets wrapped within, right? That's why we had to build our own order book based swap on our website. And also too, and I didn't even mention this. I'm sorry, I don't mean to go off course here, but I can actually submit the DTF to CoinMarketCap and CoinGecko for listing. So I mean, that's another. I know you got how much you guys love the Gecko and you love CoinMarketCap. And I mean, so I can actually, yeah, I know everyone just loves that shit. And I mean, it's good. It's good catalyst, right? But I can actually resubmit because the DCF is a standalone asset, right? It contains a native token, but it's a standalone asset. It's got its own contract, and I'll post the contract and stuff. But I mean, if you plug it into Pancake, you're not going to get it, right? You got to go through our swap. So, anyways, that's another little catalyst that you guys are going to see. I've also actually been talking to Coinbase and to CoinMarketCap because CoinMarketCap is experimenting with something called indices, which is exactly what we're doing.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Uh, Yep. So they haven't really gotten it there yet. It's a very new kind of effort, but I've already been listed on CoinMarketCap and I've got an account and I'm talking to them, and they're kind of wrapping their head around what we're offering too. So there's also potential to have the DTF tracked under a CoinMarketCap indice as well. So I mean, that's another thing that we're looking at. But anyways, I'm sorry. Going back to your question. Um, so if you want to do a direct buy while I'm wrapping this second batch, then essentially send me a DM. I wrap in batches of like 10 to 50. So people always ask, like, is there a minimum buy? I'm like, well, not really, but yeah, kind of. Because I mean, some people want to buy like one, I'm like, well, I have to wrap them in batches. Because essentially what I'll do is you send BUSD, USDT, or one of the stable coins. And then when I get to your lot, I will wrap it at the market price. And so I'll lock in that exchange rate, and then I'll wrap it up, and then I'll airdrop it to you. So that's the way it's going to work for now. Now, once we airdrop all the tokens, naturally, there's going to be people who want to sell, and they're going to offer their tokens on the order book. And then you guys who would like to purchase off the swap, you can do that. You can go on the order book, and you can look at the sell sign, and you can buy from other people selling their tokens, basically. So that's kind of how the order book works. And then what I'm going to do is, again, when I say add liquidity, it's a little different because it's not like the traditional like liquidity pool, like what you guys are thinking. It's me basically adding tokens. But I've got to front capital to do that because again, I'm buying real Bitcoin, I'm buying real Cardano, real Ethereum, all that shit. So these tokens are not like magic tokens that were just created in BSC land. They're wrapped digital assets that have real things within them. So when I say add liquidity, basically what I mean by that is I'm adding to the supply. I'm basically minting additional tokens. So I'm taking out liquidity. I'm buying those underlying assets, and then I'm wrapping them. And some of the buybacks, and I did do a little buying today because I was buying DOGEX to purchase the necessary tokens that I need. I could have just taken from the marketing wallet, but I just went ahead and just took, I just did a couple buybacks with the 10% allocation from the folks who did the pre-sale. Because again, this is buybacks with a purpose, and right now it's not. I mean, it's pretty small, but like I said, once I can start securing some larger orders, it can bring some pretty significant buybacks to the token. But you got to start somewhere. So that's kind of how you can purchase now. So if you guys are interested, you haven't picked up any, send me a DM. Realize I've got a lot of DMs, and then as I start wrapping these and sending them out, it's going to be a process. I'll be working on this pretty much all day. So, but I'll get you your tokens today. And then if you'd rather purchase through the swap, then just check out the order book, familiarize yourself with it. It's going to be a learning curve for some folks, but once the dust settles and things quiet down and the Moon Boys leave and all that stuff, we'll start doing some more like I'll start doing like how-to video, put up on YouTube, kind of the stuff we did for the staking platform, which is also still there, guys, and it's still paying out ADA. It does every week. I fund it every single week. Stake your coins. Some of the pools some people have taken all their coins out at a loss, which I don't quite understand. They would be up right now if they just stayed in, but that's still there as well. So, but yeah, that's kind of how it's going to work once I get off this call. So.
Okay, cool. I sent you a DM. To understand more about the DTF, you're saying it's $17 per coin, but it was sold at 10 for pre-sale. So what is the determining factors? The increasing of each market cap of Bitcoin, everything that Doge and all that's wrapped in it? Is that what's going to directly affect the price per coin?
Yes. So we've got a separate contract which has like a price algorithm in it, and essentially what it does is it tracks the price because I mean we pack those assets within it. So the initial batch, the assets that I've purchased over the past month or so were kind of at a flat rate of $10 per coin, and we did that so folks could buy, at a standard rate. But I mean, the purchasing power within those tokens is pretty decent because obviously Bitcoin and all of them have moved. And then as today, I mean, our native token obviously made the biggest move. So that's why if you go on the swap and you look at the chart, you got 3 different charts you can look at depending on what currency. But regardless, you'll notice that they've all increased, and that a lot of that is due to the native token. I mean, the major currencies are also moving, and I think everything is green today. So I mean, they're definitely contributing, but the price fluctuates based on the market. And now that the DTF is live, the contract has been deployed, they're going to continuously change depending on the market. So if Bitcoin and all the major coins take a massive shit, you're going to see that reflected in the price of the DTF. It trades the same way as a diversified fund in the stock market. If you guys trade QQQ or SPY or ARC or whatever. There's all these popular ETFs nowadays. They call them index funds because some of them are like kind of spread out based on the underlying structure of the index, like the Nasdaq or the S&P 500, and then others are focused like on sectors of the economy or like specific sectors and industries, like oil or energy ETF or home builder ETF. Like there's literally just thousands of these, but all of them trade the same. And actually, they charge pretty high fees because they got to pay the hedge fund managers and stuff to manage those funds. So there's actually more fees associated with that. You guys aren't paying any taxes on the DTF. So I've had that question as well. Again, shitcoin mentality does not apply here. Okay, you're not paying like a 20% tax or 16% tax or whatever. You're just not. So don't worry about that. But there is a minor transaction tax, which is, I believe it's below Pancake swaps, because Pancake swaps is like 0.35. It's minimal, but that's the only thing you're paying plus gas. So gas is what it is. So, but yeah, there's no so the taxes that you guys pay when you trade the native token does not apply, okay, to the DTF. So that's another thing I want to point.
So how does the DTF coin affect the Doge X economy? Like how does it put positive price pressure on on the native token?
Well, because when orders come in, and so right now, especially because supply is low, and we're going to be adding to the supply per market demand, right? So, like, let's say, for example, we've got 1,000 coins in circulation, right? And then I have an order come in for, well, let's just keep it reasonable. Let's say 10K, and I've got a couple of these emails, some for even larger numbers. But if it's 10K order, then I'm going to buy the underlying assets with that 10K, right? And that means 10% is going to be going to the native token, which is a buyback of $1,000. And that you see what I'm saying?
That slipped my mind. I forgot that the native token is in the bundle as well.
Yes,
Wow.
yes.
Okay, Jay.
So they feed
right.
off each other.
Good shit, bro. I knew there was a reason why I kept on following you. Good shit.
Yep.
Good shit, man.
Yeah, and so actually, I mean, having the native token in there is going to bring volatility to the DTF, which, and we had some debate about that, but ultimately we want them to feed off each other. And that's another reason why like the native token is not a 50% allocation or whatever, because then you're just buying another wrapped version of the native token, which makes no fucking sense. So, we did put a 10% allocation there, as we did for Dogecoin as well. Dogecoin is obviously a lot more stable and it's not a shitcoin, not anymore anyways. It's a mega cap. But
yeah, I was gonna say it's still a shitcoin no matter what until they
but it's definitely it's a mega cap now, and we put that in there though because it'll bring volatility. So that's going to provide opportunities for folks to basically scoop up tokens because it's going to either drop the price of the token, or it's going to, like as you guys saw today with the massive pump, it's going to pump the price of the token to very high levels. So when it does that, it's going to appreciate the value of the DTF token. It's going to bring volatility because one of the common criticisms that you hear about these types of assets, and especially on BSC, is like, well, Jay, it's boring. It's like, well, dude, it's a diversified fund. The whole point is to have some sort of stability in your portfolio. If you want to, ape your entire portfolio into Elon Anus token, go for it. I mean, that's your prerogative. But if you want to have maybe 25% of your portfolio in a more stable asset that's not a stable coin and still will appreciate, then you have the DTF. And then you use the other 75% for Elon Anus coin or Jesus coin or whatever stupid fucking coin comes out, right? So that's the rationale behind it, though. And then consequently, when the price of the Doge or the DogeX, the native token, falls, it'll bring down the price of the DTF, which will bring opportunities for arbitrage traders and folks who are looking to take advantage, because there's a 5% margin of error. I need to find a better word for this, but there's a 5% kind of there's 5%, because basically what we did is we limited the effect that the demand, because BSC has the potential just to drive the price up to the asset to stupid levels and then also dump it to stupid levels because of the way you guys trade. Not all of you, but some of you, right? And because of that, we don't want these tokens with real assets to be trading at stupid levels, either on the upside or the downside. Arbitrage traders would love that shit, and that's why we didn't remove it completely. But ultimately, we didn't want the stupidness of BSC to drive the price up to where the cost of the underlying assets is, let's say, $10, the price of the token's like $50 or something retarded, right? And obviously arbitrage traders will love that because they'll be like, oh man, I can buy all these real underlying assets. Not when it's up, when it would be down though, because when they dump, then it has the same effect. But regardless, there's 5% kind of margin there. So after that, the smart contract won't allow it to go any further based on just the demand alone. So it really comes down to really the price action of the underlying assets. That is what is driving the price on both ends.
Awesome.
So yeah.
All right.
So yeah. And
one final question.
I want to see if I can get some more crypto keys. I'll come back to you at the end. But there's other folks in here. I want to see if anyone else has any questions. We'll come back. Does anyone else have any questions or anything like that? I mean, there's a good amount of people in this room, so.
Yeah, Jay. Hi there.
I
think, how you doing, mate? Yeah, I sent you a DM, I think, a couple of days before to try and get in. Was whitelisted to get in on the DTF early. So on the previous price, I mean, is it still possible to come in at that price or?
No, that batch has already been listed. So I know there's a few DMs that I missed, and there's a couple folks. I'm not sure what quantity you were looking at purchasing, but there's a couple folks who wanted to buy like one token, and I just can't wrap that small amount of tokens. And then there was other folks who said they were interested, and then I responded, and they didn't respond. And then suddenly this morning they're responding. So I'm not sure kind of where you fall on the spectrum, and it could definitely be user error on my part. I get a lot of DMs. Trying to keep up with all of them. But regardless, like I said, the orders are still open because literally when I get off this call with all you guys, I'm going to be wrapping the second batch. And then I'm going to send them all at the same time. Yep.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah, I'll just get them.
Yeah. Send me the DM. I mean, you said you already DM'd me, but just send me another one. Ping me.
Yeah.
So it goes to the top. And then when I get off the call, I'll take care of you, okay?
All right, cheers, man. Come on.
Cool.
Definitely,
All
Jay.
right.
I actually got to run, so I DM'd you my question, and I'll get with you about the coins.
Okay, cool. Nice talking to you, Crypto Keys.
Yeah, no problem, bro. Talk to you soon.
Yep.